Someone hasn't played Payday.
Hello, my blood books and laid-back glasses, and welcome back to this garbage fire of a channel, where today, we're talking about the Payday series. As so many people from my last video, where I review Payday 3 know, the point of it was that it didn't really feel like Payday 2 that much, and it was a completely separate kind of game. And okay, I get it, Payday 3 wasn't supposed to be like Payday 2, but instead, Payday the Heist. But then, the question changes from, is Payday 3 Payday, to, was it a good idea to make Payday 3 more of a original kind of thing than Payday 2? There's a lot to talk about, so let's just stop stopping and get to the video. Okay, time for the wiki read. Payday the Heist is a first-person shooter developed by Overkill Software and published by Sony Entertainment. It was originally released in America on October 18th via the PlayStation Network, and on November 2nd, 2011 in Europe. It was then released worldwide on PC, October 21st, 2011, on Steam. Payday was surprisingly Overkill's first game. Now technically the Anderson brothers had a game company before this named Grin, which I'm not really gonna go into it much here because it's kind of irrelevant, but look at this logo, cause it's kind of a fucking banger. Like, look at this shit. Hell yeah, brother. Anyways, Payday was kind of a success. Wow, that's almost enough money to buy a PS5 Pro. Now, before this video, this was the only game in the series I haven't played, so this was a very interesting experience to see where so many of the ideas of the later games started. And because it's my first time, let's just slam it in there with first impressions. The first thing I noticed was that each character was a class, and that my boy Wolf was a DLC? Now, after looking at the DLC, it seems like it's more of just the technician skill tree, which still sucks because I really love the turn in the other games. There really isn't any noticeable change between the classes though. The first thing about this map is that the steps are very simple, which makes sense for what's basically the tutorial of the game. Also, something I really like about this game that I wish would come back to Payday 3 is that either after a little bit or after you lay eyes on the task, it has an outline that looks suspiciously like Left 4 Dead's. Something that I immediately noticed about assaults is that there seems to be some kind of RNG on how many people spawn, because sometimes there will be a steady stream of cops coming at me and other times it will feel like I'm Lana Rhoades in the middle of a gig. Now, I have three theories as to why this might be. One, as previously mentioned, there might be some RNG on cop spawns, which makes a huge difference. Two, sometimes cops just decide they all want to do close spawns / clump together around a few spawns and wait for you to get close. And lastly, three, I might just be fucking insane and making this up. I don't know. Voice acting in this game is very mixed at times.
There, Slick. Now I call the shots. What are you doing, man?
Most of the time it's okay, but there's other times where it's really bad. Like, it's almost never in the gameplay, both because they can kind of just slap lines in randomly and other sounds just will kind of cover it up, and because they're too busy running away from a taser to really care. To be completely fair to these dudes though, most of them it was their first time, and the only reason it's not everyone's is because Simon Kerr, the voice of Dallas, voice acted a Bionicles game and one episode of a Canadian detective show. So, they definitely did better than I probably could have done. So, not quite a bravo, but you know what? I'll donate a jazz hands.
Jizz hands!
What'd you say now? Jizz hands. Jizz hands? Yeah, jizz hands, big finish, you know. Jazz hands. What? Jazz hands. What?
Oh, and also the CEO of Overkill is my boy Wolf, which is also kind of funny. Anyways! Well, here we are at the most interesting part of the game, the enemies. So let's just hop right into it. These are just the basic cops. They have pew-pews and they get more armor as the difficulty increases. I guess we're doing duff for all the sections now. Well, you would think those are so scary, but truthfully, not really. Obviously, this Mr. Freeze knockoff's weak spot is his face, so really just mag dump him with any gun and he's fucking dead. Not that scary at all. Truthfully, my opinion on this game's cloaker has constantly changed. You see, before I began, I thought this was going to be, like, fucking terrifying. Then I played the first few games, I was like, he's kind of more of a pest than a terror. Then I moved away from the First World Bank, and I became terrified of him again, because what it seems like is this cloaker is meant to be an easy to deal with, but really fucking good at snowballing, because most of the time I die to the cloaker, that's a reset. It's probably not as effective with real humans, but with teammates who just love walking one after the other into the instant death machine, yeah, that's kinda scary. Then I started understanding how to play the game, and I just kind of became a pest again. Still worried about the snowball, though. Oh my god! I fucking hate this little shit. One of these dudes can completely shut me down from doing anything, because unlike the other two games, you can't just quickly run over the shield or shoot through the eye holes to kill him. You have to run circles around him to get pot shots until the little bitch dies. I sentence thee to eternal hellfire! I don't really know what to say. They're just kind of annoying far away in this game, and sometimes I have to put a full mag into trying to kill one. I don't really care much about these guys. One interesting thing, though, is that I learned that the Payday wiki doesn't have snipers in Payday 3 for some reason. I'm kind of confused about that, but I guess the wiki nerds are, like, behind by a whole year? Blokes, lasses, I know this will be a massive surprise, but genuinely, I am completely fucking terrified of these dudes. I'm like 93.7% sure that these dudes can take more bullets than a fucking dozer. Cause I'll mag dump everything I got into one of these dudes, then I hear the taser charge up sound, and my day is ruined. Like genuinely, I never expected this to be one of the more tame special enemies in the other games, but like I would say as far as I'm more terrified of these dudes over the Payday 2 cloaker. I said it.
You call this resisting arrest? We call this a difficulty tweak.
Well, now that we covered all these dudes, I think it's time to make sense for me to cover the map.
If there's a place you gotta go, I'm the one you need to know. I'm the
minor attracted person.
There are a total of 9 heists in this game, but since I don't have the DLC, I'm only going to cover the 7 I got. 6 base game and 1 free DLC. I covered this already. It's very simple instructions of getting to the gas, breaking open the outer vault, and waiting for the inner vault to melt. All around, a good tutorial and a pretty good map. Oh, I almost forgot. I don't know why I said that. This is all scripted. Anyways, this game is really cool thing about the end where all of the heists where you just kind of like escape and you're on like hurry to get out fast because there's a timer which makes you decide if you want to play it safe and stay with your team who walks slower than an army crawl or run like hell to make it to the escape in time. I really wish more heists in the future games brought this back. I give it 2 out of 4 masks. Heat Street is actually a heist I'm well acquainted with because I fucking hate the Payday 2 version. And it's not even like I hate the entire heist either. I only hate the stupid fucking escort mission. Holy Jesus, please just cut his hands off and put some lead in his head, my god! I hate escort missions so much in gaming, but especially in this series because they walk extra slow and they will lay down at even the concept of a gun pointing at them, which means that a lot of the time you're just a sitting duck. No joke transition, just entirely fuck whoever made escort missions an idea. I give it half a mask out of 4. Panic Room feels like it's a second tutorial because the tasks in this one are still really simple, but it's just the first heist that introduced a lot of waiting for stuff to show up and fall. But the highlight of this map has to be blowing up the entire upper 3 floors. I don't care if the actual task is just interact and not move with glowing outlines for 9 times. The explosion is completely worth it. I give it a 3 out of 4 masks. Green Bridge is just Heat Street, but better. First of all, the heisters get this cute little raincoat, and while yes, it does have the dying sound of being an escort mission, it is probably one of the best ways an escort mission could be implemented in the game. As long as you aren't in an assault, the dude actually gets to the final area pretty fast. And once that happens, most of the heist is just defending the area and waiting for the plane to pick him up, which luckily the map is set up good enough that it doesn't get too crazy. And also the plane grabbing him is funny as fuck. I shall suffice a 2 out of 4. Ah, the Diamond Heist, another map from Payday 2. Truthfully, I don't have much to say. This map's pretty set up well. The escort part's a little long and there are 2, which kind of sucks. But besides that, everything else feels fair and I enjoy the map quite a bit. 3 out of 4 masks. For some reason, the slaughterhouse gives me serious deja vu. Like, I feel like I've played it before, but for the life of me, I cannot remember it. Anyways, this game's heist starts off with you absolutely kerpoozeling this armored truck, and then going down to the slaughterhouse to break open the truck and the safe. Up till here, it's a pretty okay heist. Then you have to run all the bags to the carry container, and that is hell, because cloakers really like to hang out around the exits to catch you, which is always fun. I love insta-losses, and totally, pretty mediocre heist to be honest. I give it a 1.5 out of 4 masks. My favorite map conceptually, it's actually my headcanon that Payday and Left 4 Dead are actually connected, and Payday 3 is like one of the heisters in a coma or something. Well, to the map. It's actually pretty good. You would think the enclosed hallways of the hospital would make it painful, but actually it just means every bullet hits a dude. So I actually really like this heist. The only area that kind of sucks is the part where you have to do the scan of the dude's bloods, because the cops really love to clump up in those 2 rooms. So, that's where you're most likely gonna die. Besides that though, I really like this heist. Definitely a top 7 heist. 2 out of 5 masks. Now, this section is here to say I'm not really gonna cover the guns that much in these games, because that would double the time we're here, and also because I still didn't unlock many guns in the game, because it takes fucking forever to.
I'm gay.
Truthfully, just like the Cloaker, my opinion of this game has gone all over the place. But here's what I currently think of the game. It's a very solid base, and I can definitely see areas where ideas come from, along with a lot of cool ideas that I wish were brought back. But the main thing holding this game back for me are the teammates AI. They are so bad. I think if we got something closer to a Payday 2 teammate system, my opinion would be so much higher this game. Right now though, I can only see to give Payday like a 6.5 on the objective scale and like a 3.5 on the personal scale, which averages out to about 5 out of 10 or 2 out of 4 masks. Not a bad game, but nothing insane. Oh, praise Jesus! It's the second coming of Payday. Time for the wiki read. Payday 2 is a cooperative first-person shooter once again made by Overkill. It was released on August 13, 2013 for Windows, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. Then on SteamOS and Linux on March 21st, 2016. Damn, a whole 3 years later. And when it came out, it seems the opinions of people were very varying. Obviously, there's a lot less things in the game to complain about now. But there was a lot of problems people had, like multi-day heists or the stealth being horrible to play, apparently. Most anything else has been an upgrade from the previous game, because all of the recent ratings for this game were either a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. Luckily, I never had to experience that, because I started playing this game after Crime Wave Edition release, and that's basically had their shit together by then, and it was a lot sillier, to be honest. Well, we aren't covering the release of Payday 2, we're covering now Payday 2. So, let's check out this dead game. I guess before we touch the actual gameplay, we should check out the inventory. The inventory can be split up into like 3 sections if we ignore Infamy. Those sections are customization, usables, and upgrades. Customization is obviously for visual stuff. It doesn't affect gameplay wise, except maybe for burning out the eyes of the other heisters. There isn't much to talk about here, so next up. Usables are the things that you actually use in a heist. These are like your guns, where there's a large variety of things you can use. After a while though, you have 2 choices. Perfectly balance your loadout for stealth, or flamethrower. Yeah, most things don't really matter balance-wise once you unlock the flamethrower, because obviously they don't. Hell, the only reason I don't really run it that much is because I'm trying to get better at stealth, and the flamey ow ow isn't particularly quiet. Also, I'm too lazy to reset my points. Next is throwables. They're basically just all the grenade stuff, and yeah. There's a good variety, but the cards make me feel coolest. Armor is armor, obviously, but all that really matters on this scale is no armor or enough to legally rename yourself the Killdozer. And I'll get a little farther into why in a bit. Equipment is just one of the important items in this category, because if you choose the wrong thing, it can single-handedly lose you a heist. If you have time, you should look at everyone's equipment, because personally, 4 ammo bags is a bit too much sometimes. I was gonna put melee into customization, but technically, it affects your detection risk, and they each have their own similar stats to guns, so I'll put it there. Also, big spoon! And also, we can move into upgrades. Probably the most important thing out of all this is behind guns. They're completely change how you play in every way, and they're such a good idea to have included in the sequel, because it makes the game so much more enjoyable over a long amount of time. Let's start with skills though. There are a fuck ton of branches here that you can put points into, where each skill has a normal version with an effect and an aced version that has a more powerful version of that effect. These different skills can be combined to do a bunch of cool stuff, but the most popular two builds are tank and dodge. Tank uses the skills where they just kind of go,
bullet, I eat those for breakfast.
And also, you know, use the Killdozer armor. Dodge uses a new set of skills that make it so it's like, bullets? Nah, not today, dude. There's other builds, obviously, but they're more specific. The perk deck is kind of like skills, but completely different, because while there's still a lot of branches, you can only choose one at a time, so you have to decide what deck is best for whatever you're doing. Well, that's really it, so we should be able to move on to... Oh, right. I never actually explained detection risk. Detection risk is the only important for stealth jobs, because it decides if that guard right there is going to let you walk by or put a bullet in your brain. Because the higher the detection risk, the more likely you're going to be detected, obviously. This makes setting up a lot more interesting, because basically everything in the usables tier affects your detection, which means, while it might feel safer, Mr. Walking Tank McGee probably isn't the best choice for sneaking into the DMV. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about enemies again. They did a lot better at making the distinction between the different specials well set up. So you didn't have the taser be a heavy and the heavy be a little more than a quick zzz, and you're done. Also, once again, these are just basic enemies. They range in look, health, weapons. They're mostly the same though. But before we move on to the actual special dudes, let's talk a little bit about detection, because I talked about it like 30 seconds ago. Detection in this game is very wonky, because sometimes it takes 5 milliseconds to detect you, and other times they have literal glaucoma. And I don't really know if this is a thing where it's a server connection or what. It's interesting to work around though, because you can have a man with a shotgun jumping around the place and not get detected. The dozer in this game is a massive improvement over the original, with what feels like a more powerful combination of damage and faceplate health. There are 5 main dozers. They are the green, the black, the skull dozer, the minigun dozer, and the medic dozer. The main 4 are just scales of damage and health, but when we get to the medic dozer, this one's a lot weaker than the other higher tiers, because it also doubles as a medic, so he can heal fellow coppers.
Oh God, viewer, pray to whatever god you have, because...
There's only really one kind of medic, unlike the other specials. All he does really is heal people by him, which makes him more of a menace than anything else. The shield in this game is a lot less annoying than the first game, with the ability to hop over them to shoot them, and probably one of the enemies with most variants, with a whopping 9 versions. Now, 8 of them are either retextures or the same enemies, but with more health and damage. It's the last one where things gets interesting. The US Marshal shield is kinda like if you showed the normal shield, the think fast choconuts meme, so that's a pain in the ass a lot of the time. I once again don't have much to say about these dudes. It's nice that they made the spawns a lot closer so they feel more than a pixel on my screen, but yeah. The SWAT truck is one of the most unique enemies out of all of them because it's the biggest damage output, but it can't move, and also unlike all the other girls, this one's a truck. For a lot of the maps, you actually never have to deal with them because you either never interact with a road, or for the ones you do interact with the road, a fuck ton, they're a massive pain. The taser of this game is equivalent to the Payday 1 taser, if the taser had severe brain damage and was forced to work in marketing for 3 years, which is probably for the better. Especially when combined with this new
If there's a place you gotta go, I'm the one you need to know. I'm the
My
So, there's a lot of maps in this game, like a lot, so obviously I'm not going to be covering them all. Instead, I'll cover the maps I've played the most and some that are from the original game. Let's get into this whole Shirkuble. Before we get into all the new maps, first I'm going to cover the maps that were transferred over from the first game. And first of all is obviously the Diamond Heist. They basically just one-for-one transferred it, to be honest. There's the small things that are more of just a change of how the game fundamentally works, but this one and a few others, they just drop into the files in the new game. I give it a 3 masks out of 4 like the old one. First World Bank. First World Bank is here to represent the other maps that are kind of different from their Payday 1 counterparts, with the fact that I can actually say things of substance here. One of the biggest difference from Payday 1's version is that the original is literally just you pressing E for 5 seconds over and over again, which is kind of boring. That's more of a fault of the game itself though, than the map. This new version starts off the exact same with you looking around the map for the manager, and the manager has the same spots as the original. Once you find him, you take the keycard. From here, you can just have 2 ways to go. Relatively normal with the LAD option, where the main difference is that you have to worry about taking the bags along with escaping, and the quiet option, which is a lot harder and is basically a completely different heist. Really, what is the main defining changing point of these redone maps is the updated systems and included stealth mode on most of them. In total, I really like this one, but it's not anything special. 2 masks out of 4. Bank Heist is what you would describe as the tutorial of Payday 2. It teaches you most of the base parts of the game, such as planning, knowing what tools are good for the job, and how to defend a place with multiple entrances. All of that while also being a very small map. I really like this map to say the least. 3 out of 4 masks. Cook-Off is genuinely one of my favorite out of all the heists because while this isn't a crazy stealth mission or it doesn't give a massive amount of money, I love the duality of having to pay attention to Bane screaming in your ear about putting creatine in the crack and surviving the US industrial complex. It's amazing. My only problem with it is that a lot of the time it's way too short. I give it 3.5 out of 4 masks. White House is included here because duh, you're stealing from the fucking White House. That's my dream for what I want to do when I grow up. Anyways, this heist is a stealth loud heist, so you can do either for this. The easiest for most of these mixed heists though is to start off stealth and try to get as far as possible until you get detected and just annihilate everything. What you're really doing changes between stealth, but what really matters is you getting the presidential pardon to be able to leave the dinner table. It's not really anything crazy actual gameplay wise, it's just 2 out of 4 masks. Scarface's mansion is a relatively unique map with the fact that there's so many side things you have to do to get to the vault, which makes it a lot more memorable. Some of those things are destroying stuff and killing a mob boss. I don't really care about explaining this mission in depth though, because I wanted to talk more about the massive problem with the heists in the game. So much of it is just waiting. Wait for the helicopter, wait for the drill. God damn, I'm still waiting for some bitches. Like, dude, I get it's supposed to be stressful when you're waiting during assault, but there's so many times where you aren't and you just have to set up a sleeping bag for yourself. It should not be 2 minutes for so many things. 2.5 out of 4 masks. Murky Station is one of the few stealth-only stations, and thank God for that, because Jesus Christ, I suck at these ones. This specific kind of heist is my biggest problem with Payday 2 because stealth games are usually give hints or tell you what you need to do or where you need to go. Payday 2 does not do that. At least it doesn't do that enough, because there are points where all of us heisters are just running around like idiots for 30 minutes. Now, this could be fixed by if they just made it so that more consistently after 5 minutes of doing nothing to push the heist forward, they just highlight the thing you need. Now, while getting a recording of this video, I completed the heist for the first time ever, and I would not do it again. 0.5 out of 4 masks.
Why are you gay?
This game all around is a massive improvement over the original. That doesn't mean it has no problems though, because it has a huge, you have to wait 7 centuries problem, and we aren't actually going to tell you how to do shit problem. Most of the time you don't really pay attention to this though, because there are usually enemies to keep you busy. And the second one solves over time as you learn the heist more and more, aka I need to stop watching so many shorts, and a skill issue lol. Also, I forgot to mention, but the teammates IAI is so much better in this game. I give it a personal score of 9.5, and on the objective scale, 8.5, which averages about to a 9 out of 10, or 3.6 out of 4 masks.
Huh? Hey boy, it's Payday. What? Really? You already forgot? I gave you $40 just last month for that stupid show you wanted to make.
Oh right, forgot about that.
Does that mean you don't got the money? No, I definitely got stuff for you. Haha, good. You stupid bastard, you're dead!
So, I got a Patreon, and if you join it right now, you can get cool things. Like, on the bottom tier, you get early access to content such as this video, or my eventual McNut situation, a whole week before anyone else, and access to show watch parties every other week. And that's just the lowest tier. Something a lot fancier, like the Sublime Sugar Daddies, gets you so much more, such as
Ghosty, I need help.
move out of the way. You also get access to a Google Doc with all my evil plans. Mwahahaha. Ooh. And exclusive merch. There's mugs, there's masks, hell, there's even hoodies. Hell, this hoodie is genuinely one of the best, if not the most quality hoodie I've ever had. Complete 10 out of 10 would do a genocide in it again, and Ghosty brand condoms will be coming soon.
And here we are to the newest game in the series, Payday 3. That means one last wiki read. Payday 3 is a cooperative first-person shooter game developed by Starbreeze Studio and published by Deep Silver. It was released for PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox Series X on the 21st of September 2023, and it's received mixed reviews from critics and failed to meet the sales expectations of Ember Group and Starbreeze. So, it seems pretty obvious from that last sentence that Payday 3 hasn't exactly had easy sailing, with server problems on launch, less heists on launch than Payday 2, and the removal of several different features compared to the previous game. Let's slow it down for a bit and just talk about the...
Hey guys, Future Ghosty here. Actually, I chose to make this video at like the worst time because I thought, oh, it's been 1 year since my video. This would be the perfect time to release, which, I mean, it's still taken a lot longer than the original date, but the 1 year anniversary came out, the update, and it changed basically everything about the... it changed a lot of stuff, including the menu, and so this stuff's gonna be kind of outdated. Most of the stuff that I reference is still, you know, spot on. It's just things are gonna look different than I'm describing them as. And also, I might, if I care enough, make a updated review in the comments. So if I have, you know, a very long comment that on there, you know, you can just go look at that.
The main menu is kind of replaces the inventory and really anything else with 5 sections. Those sections are play, loadout, vendors, challenges, and more! Let's start with play. Play, there are 3 sections to the main page, those being the game modes, masks of the week, and daily challenges. Game modes are obviously the game modes, but you may not see 2 buttons. Depends on how drunk you are. The first one is just quick play, where you select a difficulty and then it just kind of throws you in whatever is available. Then the other button Also says game modes. Game modes, if you will. Anyways, it has 3 options with online play, which lets you choose the heist specifically you want to do, solo mode, which is just in beta and lets you run a game on your computer rather than the server, which is crazy that this is just being added. To be honest, I never noticed it, but I probably should have with everyone's problem of the game not working without the servers. I may be stupid. Anyways, the last section of the tutorial is where you learn. Anyways, the mask of this week is just a pre-made mask that's half off for the week. We'll talk more about masks in a bit though. The main challenges are just challenges that are supposed to bring you in every day, which is for 30 C-stacks worth, it works like a motherfucker. The loadout menu has 2 tabs, that being loadout and appearance. This makes me segmenting things a lot easier, because loadouts are things that affect the game, and appearances are fashion. Starting with loadouts, we got 2 guns. The primary has a wide variety of rifles, shotguns, and LMGs. There's basically a weapon for anybody, and truthfully, there isn't a gun that absolutely obliterates the balance of the game, but a personal favorite of mine is the Rainfield, because snipers make my brain go fuzzy. Then, we go to the secondaries. Most of the secondaries are basic pistols, and while they have differences, they fill the same job. Until we get to the revolvers and Picchio. For some reason, they made 3 revolvers, and while 2 of them have a good trade-off between handling and accuracy, the Bull Kick 500 absolutely annihilated anything related to balance with one-shot kill for most enemies. With that annihilation, you may be wondering, why even mention the Picchio? Well, it's a pretty good stealth weapon with 3-round bursts because most pistols can't one-shot headshot. It just removes a whole layer of don't fuck up the shot. And besides those 2 guns, everything else is pretty well balanced. Next up, the overkill weapons. Currently, there are 3 weapons in this category, and they are a grenade launcher, a Barrett 50 cal, and a minigun.
You may be wondering, what the fuck, Starbreeze? What happened to balance? And I would say, dipshit, have you heard of Payday 2? I just mentioned the flamethrower like 10 minutes ago.
I would also say, they are balanced anyways, because to even get access to them, you have to earn them through completing objectives and killing enemies. So the better you do, the more you get the weapons. Now, on armor. There's the same variety pack as Payday 2, but sadly, they no longer range from Naked to Optimus Prime. Now they're boring as things like light ballistic lining and adaptive armor lining. Gay as hell. But I have to choose the adaptive armor lining over anything else for its ability to ignore trauma like a man on his last leg. Now, we got the deployables. They are exactly like equipment from the last game, except there's only the ammo bag, medic bag, armor bag, and sentry turret now. This is truly a sad moment. Now, on to throwables. I don't know what to say about these guys, they're grenades and stuff. Now, it's sad that they replaced my cool cards with lame throwing knives, but they basically do the same thing, and the shock grenade is good for when you have the entire PD after you. A new thing that they have, though, is tools, which lets you take some stuff from the old grenade category, like the MP jammer. The only thing that I've really ever used, though, is the motion sensor. Now, for the real big one, skills. You might think for the second time in your life and say,
Ghosty, the skills from the last game were very much liked, so they probably kept the same systems to make the transition between the 2 easier, right?
you dear retarded viewer, you would be wrong! They did change things up where they combined skills and perk deck into one twisted amalgamation. I can't speak for some reason. Where you can select different branches, but you have to unlock them first, and there's no acing perks. Instead of having things like dodge or a lot of regen things, the main upgrades in this game allow you 3 new effects types called Rush, Edge, and Grit. Rush increases movement speed, Edge makes you do more damage by being more erect, and Grit reduces the damage you take from things. Oh, and I also almost forgot this. But there's different loadouts, and unlike Payday 2 where you can't set up anything different skills and different loadouts, you can now, which is pretty cool. Now we can move on to appearance. The customizations are kinda cool.
I'm the squeaker, baby.
Vendors are where you buy everything in the game, and there are 4 sections: guns, masks, clothes, and the currency broker. Most of these are pretty obvious, so let's just skip to the currency broker. The currency broker exchanges cash to C-stacks, and the more C-stacks you buy, the more expensive they get. You may be wondering what C-stacks are used for, and they're used for customizing weapons, more expensive customizations, and the mask of the week. This is where I go further into the mask of the week, by the way. So, every week, there's a new mask added to the shop. That's 200 C-stacks, and after that week, then it gets moved over to the shop for double the price. Which wasn't how it used to be. It was more of a, oh, you didn't buy it? It's gone now. Which, it's cool it got improved. Well, now that we're done, we can finally move on to our favorite part, the bad boys. Oh, wrong thing. Wait, no, they are cops. You can stay, I guess. This game probably has the most changes between enemies compared to the changes from the first to the second game. So let's just get into this. Hey, it's the basic boys. We obviously got the range of stuff like basic guards and heavy armored police. There are other new enemies that fall under this umbrella of basics. They're the hostage rescue and the sabotage squad. So let's talk about them. Before we actually talk about the hostage rescue, we should probably talk about the hostages because I haven't brought this up in the previous games. Fuck! Anyways, too late now, I'm not changing the script. So, there are civilians all over the maps, and if you want to shut them up about seeing you, or just want to be a kinky at the moment, you can tie their hands up to make them a hostage. Hostages won't move from a position unless you tell them to, and mostly, they're just used to get extra materials during a heist, and to stop police from doing their first assault. Now, we can finally talk about the hostage rescue. They have the same weapons, it's just that they can rescue hostages, which removes possible resources from the game. I never really care about them because usually when they start saving people, we're already getting the bags and getting out. The sabotage squad is once again similar to normal enemies with similar health and weapons. It's just that they can shut down objectives in several ways. Like on Cookout, they can turn off the power to turn on the crack house, or the syntax error where you're turning off the AI coolers, they can just turn off a valve to stop you. Something interesting though is that it's not only the sabotage squad that can do it though. The main difference I think there are between the sabotage squad and just normal SWAT is that normal SWAT will only turn off the objective if they just so happen to end up by it. And the sabotage squad will specifically go for those when they aren't actively shooting you. I fucking hate these bastards, by the way. Dozers in this game are exactly what you want them to be. They are actually scary. They have two options to deal with them. Have at least two players shooting in the face, or use the Bull Kick 500 for only $15.99.99. I would classify them as a boss fight because it doesn't really matter if there are 15 cloakers on the way.
You are focusing that bulldozer, I swear to fucking God.
Cloakers in this game are less scary than they've ever been because while they still knock you down, there are perks that let you Uno reverse them and just, in total, they no longer put you into coast to be like, that fast? By like a lot? One of the new characters, and truthfully the most unique out of all of them because you really aren't ever fighting them, is the Techie. Like most tech-obsessed losers, they stay in their own little world enjoying killing people and tweeting racial slurs. What you do fight though is their drones, which come in two flavors, the machine gun ones and the ability deactivation ones. The machine gun ones obviously shoot you, and the ability deactivation ones turn off your edge, grit, and rush for a certain amount of time. You can ruin their day by hacking the drones with the Scrambler skill, or use the Bull Kick 500 for only $59.99. Shields in this game are just so sad, to be honest. The front isn't even fully protected anymore because you can kill them through their viewport, and their wives took the ballistic glass in the divorce. Naders are pretty scary in this game because of all the grenades they can throw, there are three kinds. Those being smoke bombs to simulate cataracts, flashbangs to simulate light mode, or tear gas grenades which simulate drinking gamer subs. I would not recommend standing in tear gas. Kind of painful. Same goes for gamer subs. Snipers in this game are so close that while the one-shot destroying my armor is scary, I can easily know where they are for the laser and 360 no-scope them with the Bull Kick 500 for only $59.99. No, what did they do to my sweet girl? When I look at your PFP, I'm reminded of you and me. What the hell went wrong? When am I wearing your thong? Anyways, this imposter only shows up once per heist. But when they do, they don't do any direct damage. But they do make it so that assaults never end, so you have to destroy their antenna. Which, I don't get why them having info about us changes their decision to throw more and more people into the meat grinder. I don't really care though, because that just means I get my overkill weapon faster. Zappers replace tasers in the game, but like trans people, changing the name doesn't actually do anything. The only real difference is that the zapper now has a weak point on his leg that zaps everyone in the area while shot. Thankfully, I really like how enemies are set up in this game because they all work together in unique ways. Like, I didn't mention this earlier, but enemies will hide behind shields until they get close enough or team up with zappers to focus a heister, which I think is really cool. Also, every new addition to the roster is a complete and total zinger. Like, no real comments except maybe the tear gas lasts 15 centuries and it shouldn't. That's a minor problem though, so let's just see what they did on the maps of this game. Maps in this game are interesting because there's only 3 returning maps and the rest have done really well at making the gameplay feel very different from heist to heist. Now, I'm only going to cover one of the core heists today because I've only covered them in my Payday review, of which you can watch, and I've only changed my mind on one, that being... If you watched my previous video, you may remember. Yeah, I don't really like this one as much as the others, but I think I'm going to like it the more I play it and the more I get used to it. And that's exactly what happened. Over time, I got more used to looking at the keypad and what numbers glow under the UV light, and that makes knowing which ones are right so much easier. And also, if you have a somewhat intelligent teammate, you can very easily sneak right past these bastards. Now, it does have to be well timed, but that makes things 50 million times easier. In total, the more I learned about, the more I did like it. 3 out of 4 masks. Welcome back to Cook-Off. Earlier we talked about the original and my small problem was, my only problem with it is that a lot of the time it's way too short. Before we talk about how they fixed that, let's talk about the things that they improved on the map that they really didn't even need to. First of all was the meth itself. It used to be, okay, it's done, get off the fucking cooker. Now, it can cook for a little longer until it becomes blessed with Walter White's blue jizz powers and becomes more expensive, but if you leave it on for too long, it gets burned, which is bad. Also, as I mentioned way back, police can turn off the power to stop cooking. Also, the lady, I don't actually know her name, fucking Shade? That's gay as hell. Anyways, Shade will actually say the wrong ingredient sometimes before correcting to add some spice and possible drug explosion. Anyways, now that I put it off for long enough, you may remember a bit back. Welcome back to Cook-Off. Earlier we talked about the original and my small problem was, my only problem with it is that a lot of the time it's way too short. Well, they made it so that once you go through all the ingredients, you can just have a helicopter drop off more, which means that instead of having 5 minutes, it can last 50. Yay! I give it a 4 out of 4 masks. Syntax error is fucking peak. No slow sugar coating. I just fucking love this heist in every facet. The loud, the stealth, it's all fucking peak. I should explain it a bit though. Syntax error has you stealing servers and shutting down the AI, which is very fun. The reason you're shutting down the AI is because it's being lame and gay, and stopping us from stealing those previously mentioned servers. Fun fact though, you can actually steal the AI by pressing 2 buttons and going to the control room. Gives a lot of money, and is very fun. 4 out of 4. Boys in Blue is very boring. You break into a police department, you break open or sneak into the vault, and you get out. It's a very basic heist. The loud is exploding open a wall and pulling the steel door off. It's nothing really bad, but there's so many better heists. 2 out of 4 masks. So, this and Fear and Greed are going to be a lot less informed than my other opinions because they recently came out and I haven't gotten to play them as much as the others. Anyways, Houston's Breakout is about breaking out Houston, who could have guessed, from a New York court. Oh, how the turntables have... fuck. I can't say much about the stealth because I haven't gotten to do a full run of stealth, but the loud is very fast. All you have to do is drill into where Houston is being held, bring Houston to the center area where you get lifted out, get out all the important evidence plus any evidence they might have on him, and get the fuck out. I truthfully probably won't purposefully be trying to play this more because while it's fast to finish, it also means the payout is complete dog shit. It's fun the first few times, but it's kinda now. 1.5 masks out of 4. And this one is the newest heist, Fear and Greed. And they really hit it out of the ballpark with this one. You see, this heist is about stealing from the stock market and draining this dude named Concord's money. I don't know the lore, and I truthfully don't really care. But I've heard Concord sucked ass, so let's steal that money. The payout for this game seems to also be relatively low, but it's fun, and I love seeing big number go bigger. It's my favorite. I'll try it more and see if there's an upper limit to the stock market being a little silly. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 4 now. I should probably cover what people were mad about, and apparently still are mad about. The main two problems behind people not liking how different the game is from Payday 2, which I agree with, but over time I've started liking those new systems over the old ones. As I was saying, main two problems are the server problems that have mostly been resolved. Sometimes they get disconnected, but I think that's more of my dog shit internet than anything. I do think that they should do something like Apex Legends where you can rejoin the heists to deal with all those problems.
Hello, Future Ghosty again. They did actually solve this problem. So now they basically brought the crime network back, which was one of my bigger problems in my original video. Super glad about that. But you can rejoin the heist. It doesn't like specifically say, "Hey, you disconnected, want to rejoin?" But you can like go to the same heist if it's still open, which is pretty cool.
Also, I don't really know if I was lucky, but the only real time I had servers problems the first night it was live, and anything past that, it's been just crap internet on my end. Oh, and also the other problem is the lower amount of heists on launch. Payday the heist starts off with 6 heists. Payday 2 increased that amount by 6 with 12, and Payday 3 starts off with, drumroll please, 8 maps. You may think,
Oh my god, how could they? They didn't even put enough effort in.
and you would be wrong, because while the numbers are 12 and 8, you have to look deeper into the heist to really see what's going on. Out of the 12 Payday 2 heists, you have 4, or debatably like 5 and 6 of them, are insanely shallow, only being get in, do one thing, and leave. The other 8 maps are, at best, actually layered, and even then, most of them are only saved by my account by having like a side mission. Payday 3, on the other hand, has like all 8 being multi-layered maps, and most of them having several ways to do things from a lot of different angles. So, yeah, I agree with the first 2 of the 2 problems, but not the third. Payday 3 is the most controversial game in the series, with a lot of people who played the original 2 games preferring those for the RNG and the older systems of pre-planning and skills. I personally disagree. With this game, it's kind of beating out Payday 2 for me, because while I love Payday 2, it's a bunch of good systems that are just kind of connected. While it feels like in Payday 3, everything's strongly interwoven with each other, and that's better combined package. Especially with all the small but nice additions to gameplay they keep adding. I'm once again going to be giving a 9.5 on the personal side, and get from person with general belief 7.5 on the more objective side, which evens out to about a 8.5 out of 10 or a 3.4 masks out of 4. Before we can get to answer the question of Payday 3's, let's lightning round these reviews. Payday the Heist is the worst out of all of them because it feels more of a basic beta version of a game a developer would make before making more crazy additions, and while it might have implied that it didn't have stealth, I think it might have just be because of my limitations of AI teammates. The main thing that's probably made it as successful as it is the fact that people were like,
You can play as a heister? Hell yeah.
Payday 2 is an absolute improvement in every regard, but it's a lot less grounded with ridiculous loadouts and fucking John Wick. And lastly, my favorite game, Payday 3. It's the Louisiana of the United States of this franchise. It takes things from the previous 2 games, some things from modern gaming, and some reinvented things to create a relatively unique experience. That is very fun to grind. Anyways, on to the great question that I originally sloppy answered in 16 minutes and will now sloppily answer in however long it takes me. Is Payday 3 truly a sequel to Payday the Heist? And if so, would that be a good idea? Well, let's break this 2 questions that I'm pretending are one back into 2 questions. Is Payday 3 truly a sequel to Payday the Heist? As I said in my quick breakdown, Payday 3 is a melting pot of features. That couldn't really stop it hypothetically from being a relatively close sequel to the original. As I said, hypothetically. From my experience, it's really not. At least as anything but a fundamental level. It takes the guidelines of being a more based in reality game than Payday 2, but so did Payday 2 at the start. It's very much its own thing in a lot of ways. It's a lot more interactive and also has a lot more variety in a bunch of different ways that Payday really couldn't ever compare to previously. And 2, would it be a good idea? Well, since I disagree with the first question, I could have removed this part, but I really love hypotheticals and your watch time, so let's talk about it. Could they have really made the game any closer to Payday 1? Well, besides adding more maps, of which they're doing right now, not really. Payday the Heist is more of an idea demo test than being anything like Payday 3. So while technically they did take a lot of Payday the Heist, there wasn't much to give in the first place. It takes a lot more ideas of Payday 2 than 1, to be honest. So, to all the people who commented saying that it was meant to be a sequel to the original, fuck you, bitch!
Well, thank you guys for watching through the whole video. If you could say a racial slur in the comments to tell me you made it this far, I would appreciate it. You know, the crackers, honkies, hell, maybe even get spicy with a watermelon-eating, chicken-bone-sucking, father-lacking monkey! Anyways, sorry for not uploading a video for the last 6 months.
Was definitely not on purpose. I actually made a whole video in that time, but I couldn't export it, so that's gonna be my next upload. Don't worry, it'll still take me 3 months for it to release. Anyways, I'll just be here chillin' and killin'. Ghosty out.
I take a look at my enormous penis, and my troubles start melting away. I take a look at my enormous penis, and the happy times are coming to stay.